One of the biggest problems that I see high school catchers or their families making is thinking that recruiting is all about exposure. Camps, emails, metrics, but exposure isn't the real problem. No amount of exposure is going to fix a kid that isn't recruitable. I talk to high school catchers almost every single day, and my entire business started around pop time, velocity, and other ways of improving catchers' metrics. But over the years, I've found something that works way better. Most high school catchers are not getting recruited because they're underdeveloped, not underexposed. And it makes sense. Unless you have some kind of connection at the next level, all that you really see are perfect game events, the best teams in the country, these guys making commitment posts, and you believe that that's the path that it takes to play college baseball. But the offers, the visits, the interest from colleges all comes after you've developed into a player that can help a college team win baseball games. And if you're serious, your development wouldn't be which hitting coach you're driving out to see this weekend. It would be obvious in how you live every second of every day. So if you're a high school catcher that wants to play college baseball, you need to understand that college coaches are paid and incentivized to win. At these higher levels, if these coaches don't win baseball games, they get fired. So they're not just going to recruit a kid that has potential. They're not just going to recruit a kid that has the metrics. They want to recruit catchers that can thrive at the next level and contribute to the team the second they get on campus. They want to know that you can withstand a fall, off-season, spring season, and then going out to play summer ball without running into problems. So if you're not a guy that's training in high school to handle that workload once you get to college baseball, it's going to show up in the way that you carry yourself and the way that you go about your business. So part of the reason that a college coach might not be looking at you is maybe you simply don't pass the eye test just yet. Maybe you're way too small to survive the demand of a college team. So you need to be able to objectively look at yourself and where you stack up compared to your competition and understand if you're on track to play at that next level. And ask yourself this question: if a coach watched you train for the next week and watched everything that you do and how you handle your life, could that coach watching you confidently say that they would trust you to handle the workload at the college level? So most catchers and their families get the recruiting process totally backwards, thinking that exposure comes first. You can't skip size, maturity, habits, discipline. College baseball is going to expose all of these things. So if you're a guy that can't handle an actual long-term development program and can't stick to the process and grind through the everyday process where nobody's actually watching you, and you're the type of guy that's jumping from program to philosophy to different coaches, not really giving anything the time that it deserves, you're going to be underdeveloped once that recruiting window opens, as opposed to a guy who just sticks to a plan that they believe in and doesn't waver from it a whole lot. So to actually be a catcher that is ready to compete at the college level, no amount of hype, perfect game stats are going to bail you out when it's time to compete. When you get to the next level, dudes are trying to absolutely tear your head off. So you have to be able to hold your own, and you have to have the confidence to show up and perform in that environment consistently, or else you're going to find yourself having to maybe transfer after the first semester or end up deciding baseball isn't for you. And realistically, if you were the guy that could handle college baseball, and you showed those traits while you were in high school, now the exposure piece becomes easy. We can work on metrics in a pretty calculated way, but if you don't have those intangibles that a coach is looking for, then none of those metrics actually matter if they're not going to translate to that next level. So if you're a high school guy that needs to step up their training, you should already know going into each week how your day is going to be scheduled, what your training focuses are going to be, what your food's going to look like, what time you're trying to get to bed. If you can't do all of those things, you probably can't handle the demand of college baseball yet. If you're going through this process of college baseball recruiting, or you have a young catcher that wants to get serious about their craft in an attempt to play at the next level when they're ready, the correct order of operations is going to be personal development first, and then it's going to go into your training, and then it's your game ability, And then that last piece is going to be the exposure. If you reverse this order and try to go for exposure first, you're going to be trying to showcase an athlete that is not ready to be showcased yet. You're better off building through personal development and training styles that are going to set the foundation and raise the ceiling for what you can accomplish after you go through puberty. You get bigger, faster, stronger. You've dedicated a few years to weight room training and all of the other development pieces that go into being a catcher. If you do these things in the right order, that exposure piece at the end becomes much easier, as opposed to if that was our only focus out of the gate. Some common misunderstandings that I see from parents and catchers is that metrics are what college coaches are looking at. And you have to understand things like batting average and different in-game stats from a catcher don't tell the complete story. So if you see this catcher with a certain pop time and a certain velocity going to this school, there's so much more that goes into making that decision and finding a fit for that school that you can't simply attach to the metrics that you see online. At the end of the day, metrics do matter, and they're a really good way to get attention quickly if the metrics are good. But you need to understand when you're competing for limited roster spots at the college level, there's going to be a lot of guys with the measurables that you're competing with. But your separator can be this. How can you add value to a college team as fast as possible? How good are you at competing and helping your team win when metrics don't matter as much? Recruiting can't be boiled down to simply one event or one series of emails exchanged with a coach. It's going to be a byproduct of long-term development and actually getting that athlete to buy in and understand that it's going to be a process, but if they put in the proper inputs every single day and have a little faith in what they're trying to do, they will end up where they want to go. We just don't know exactly how it's going to play out yet, but putting faith in the process instead of trying to worry about the next big event, the next big travel team, really getting a good understanding of what kind of player do I need to be by my junior year or my senior year to play at the level that I want to play at. If you can understand what that guy looks like, you can kind of back engineer the amount of work that you need to do and what your actual days are going to look like to get you closer to this goal. If you're a high school catcher and you're not getting recruited yet, it's probably because you haven't made yourself into an undeniably good catcher that can help add value to a collegiate team. And turning yourself into an undeniably good catcher is doable if you're willing to dedicate the amount of time and be as disciplined as it requires to become that guy. If you want it bad enough, you will do the unsexy work every single day. But if you tell me you want to play at the college level and you're not living like that guy every single day, that gap is going to continue to get exposed. You need to sit with that and then actually make a decision as to who you want to become. If you want to truly develop into a college-ready catcher, I help catchers just like you understand where they are, where they want to go, and then giving them the proper development and outreach systems to become a college-ready catcher. Everything's going to be linked in the bio. If that's not something that you want, you can watch this next video where I break down some of the truths that I see in college baseball recruiting.